Hello everyone and welcome back to another sketchbook tour. So we haven't had one of these in a little while, and during these winter months I have really focused on pencil drawings since I was working on my also recently released drawing class at the same time. And I had forgotten what a versatile expressive medium a single simple pencil can be. So I experimented a little bit with inks and colored pencils too. So there will be some dashes of color on these pages. I also have some watercolor, but it's still mostly pencil line work. So let's talk a little bit about my preferred pencils, and I actually like to use mechanical pencils. There will be a few areas where I will use inks or colored pencils, but usually I just grab these mechanical pencils. They are probably my most used tool these days. I really like these thin models. They are by Faber-Castell. And this one here is a TK Fine, and this one is called Grip. They are really slim, they are light, the plastic doesn't feel too cheap. So these are actually, there are some metal parts, but this is actually made of plastic. And I like that it doesn't feel too flimsy or like it will break when you let it fall down. And the mechanism is also really sturdy. I've had some of these TK fine pencils for a few years, and they just continue to work like they have been on the first day. So that's a really good sign. And I only mention this because I actually had mechanical pencils from Tombow, and the mechanism failed on me after a while of drawing. So this is also a really nice model, and it's a bit bulkier. It's also it weighs more. It's really nice to draw with. It also has this integrated eraser, but at some point the mechanism for advancing the lead simply stopped working. So it's still working on this one, but I I don't take it out with me anymore because I wonder if it will break when I'm out in the field when I let it fall or something like that. So I went back to these Faber-Castell models, and I actually keep losing the cap of this one, but I guess that simply means that the eraser is a little bit more accessible. And you can get a really interesting variety of lines out of these. So depending on how you hold the pencil, which side is a little bit more pointed, or sometimes if you just break a little bit of the tip and then turn it, then you can get this really sharp, nice tip back. And here we have the darker one, the B pencil, so you can see it's quite a bit darker. You can get these nice sort of details and even thick lines and these thinner lines. So I really like the versatility of this tool. Okay, let's look at what I actually sketched. This winter I really focused on the shapes of branches and trees, and I found this process of close observation quite calming. I noticed it has really helped me in understanding how I can render trees. And I also sort of learned that every tree should be treated as an individual. So even though there are shared characteristics among the same species, still every tree grows a little bit differently. And another thing that I did parallel to these tree studies was I took a look at old master paintings with a lot of winter trees. So I read a book about Peter Bruegel the Elder, and he has painted a lot of great winter trees. So take a look at old masters if you want to learn more about how different artists have rendered trees. It's a really great thing to study. So this page is actually quite the colorful page. This was done after a series of walks. I encountered a great crested grebe on one walk, and then we encountered these badger tracks. I think I already shared this page on my blog when I was deep in my class creation mode, and I didn't have really a lot of time to do these big colorful pages, and so I simply set aside some of the weekends or simply an hour each day and did these small sketches. For the house and for the middle wheel on the right here, I used colored pencil for sketching, and I really like this soft line quality they have. And let me show you. So you can really get a very interesting versatility and really these soft lines out of colored pencils. And I really enjoy this, so they really feel nice to draw with. And somehow, overall, I think this spread has a very wintry feel due to the colors. And I really like that. Here's another page with small studies of landscape elements, architectural details. We visited a lot of these small villages. I remember being really interested in the patterns of the roofs and the silhouettes, so I ended up sketching some of that. I also tried out different things with ink. And then this is a slightly weird page that I would usually not have shown in a sketchbook tour, but I wanted to show you that not every sketchbook page has to look nice or make visual sense. So on the right side here, I spilled something. So I covered this spot with a tree study. And the rest of the page doesn't really hang together in any meaningful way. So we have the bird and the plant studies and then the landscape. And this is one of the pages that could probably be salvaged with a few text elements or maybe with just a few boxes around them. But I simply didn't have the time, and then I ran out of energy and I didn't feel that I had it in me to add anything to this page. So I simply left it as it is and continued. And these following pages are all material from the Sketching Fundamentals class, so it was really fun to put together this page with different types of small landscapes. I have to say that over the course of this class, I've come to really enjoy pencil-only landscape drawings. It was really fun figuring these out and adding these different textures, these different softnesses, and all the small details. And on the right here, I've shown different ways to render rocks, which was also really fun. I've used a lot of my own photographs for reference. I also had these small rocks lying around that I could draw from life, and this was really enjoyable to do these pages. Then we have more landscape demos, this time showing how to render water, different water situations. On this side is snow. And on the left side here was a first version for different kinds of clouds. I ended up redoing this for the class. On the right side, this is interesting. Now I did the first random sketching for myself in weeks, and this was when the first real spring days had arrived, with the vegetation finally waking up. And I also sketched a few of my tomato and pepper seedlings, and I added a little bit of the colors that I could see. And so this was really an enjoyable break from all of the monochromatic things that I had done previously. I really felt that I was sort of out of touch with all of these colors, and I really had to explore a little bit of color more. So this is the second version of my cloud lesson. And then we have a colored study sheet of this plant, which strangely enough doesn't have an English name. So the Latin name is Corydalis cava. And this is a plant that grows in spring in the forest here everywhere. It sort of covers the entire forest floor. And then when it has wilted, it sort of retreats into the ground until the next year. So you only ever see it in spring. And then we have this study page for a kingfisher. This was another demo for my sketching class. I really enjoyed showing the hunting process of the bird, the different poses, and this is one of the rare occasions in the class where I added color. So I did most of the lessons with pencil only or colored pencil only, so only one color at a time, because I didn't want to overcomplicate those basic drawing lessons with yet another big topic that wants to be studied for itself. And then finally, we have this sort of classic nature journaling, nature sketchbook page. I put together different species here that are typical for the beginning of spring. I haven't seen the orange tip butterfly this year yet, but all of the others I have encountered in the forests and on the field. And after these long months of mainly using pencil, it was really nice to reintroduce color. I noticed that now I like to focus more on the drawing aspect of the sketches. I don't know, somehow I've really come to enjoy the process. And yeah, and then I messed up a little bit on the hind wing of this orange tip, so I covered it with a matching piece of paper, and this gives a nice 3D effect, I think. Then we have two more pages with studies here. So on the left there is the broad-bordered bee hawk moth, which is such a long name. Uncharacteristically, the German name is quite short this time, so I have no idea how that happened. On the right we have the blackcap, which is a really cool bird. So these kind of pages, these study pages, are for me to get more familiar with the species, to get comfortable with drawing its features. I often do these when I have the time before I encounter on more detailed illustrations. So I really enjoyed studying these intricate details here of the moth's wing. These middle parts actually are transparent, and then we have these olive green parts here and the brown border. And then I also really loved drawing the caterpillar. And then, yeah, the blackcap is just this really adorable small songbird that I really love to watch whenever I get the chance. They're really great singers. It's really fun to listen to them. And I've never seen their eggs, but so I drew this from a reference, but they seem to be so small, around 2.5 centimeters, 1 inch. So this is actually a life-size egg. It's so small. And then we have on the left a page that I don't really like. I really liked it better before I added the color to those lizards. So these are common lizards. I still consider this an unfinished page. I might go back to this to add in some elements, maybe a bit of text or maybe a bit of a close-up study. And as a reminder for myself, this is at this stage, I don't want to add any more paint, any more layers of color, because it just didn't really work out. I had this really nice ink drawing and I decided to add too much color to it. I had these paints that I thought would granulate a little bit more, and on this very smooth paper, so this is hot press paper, the granulation effect didn't really happen at all. So I don't often use granulating paints because I usually don't like the effect. I work on hot press paper a lot, and the granulation doesn't even come out when you use hot press paper that much. So I have this small palette with these Primatech paints from Daniel Smith, and I have to say I almost never use them because, as I said, I don't really use granulating paints that much. And as you can see, they did really nothing. If you look at some of the swatches here, which were done on cold press paper, you can see really interesting effects, but they stayed sort of flat on this smooth surface here. So I had the idea to bring out a bit more of these interesting textures on the animals, but I obviously failed. So let's turn to the right side. This was just a really relaxing hour that I spent with studying a dandelion. And after I finished these drawings, my plants started to dry up really quickly, and I just had a tiny bit of time to add watercolor, and after that the plant parts sort of shriveled down and started to look like this. But still very interesting. I think maybe I will add one more of these sort of dried plants because they still have these really interesting shapes going on here. So maybe I will add another stage of this. So all in all, I've noticed slight changes in my sketchbook practice in recent months. As I've said, I now enjoy the drawing stage much, much more. Maybe I've become a better draftsperson because I focus on teaching it so much, or maybe I've just done more of it. In any case, I've discovered that pencil is actually a medium that I really enjoy a lot, and I used to not care about my pencil drawings at all. I just saw them as the necessary stage for adding watercolor on top, and now I really enjoy pencil as a medium, and I can only urge you to explore drawing tools like pencils, colored pencils, or ink, and you can really get a lot of different effects out of one single pencil. So I hope you've enjoyed this sketchbook tour. Maybe you went through a similar process of discovery with a special technique or a tool, and I love to hear about that. So if you want, feel free to leave a comment, and if you want, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss more videos like this. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye!